This family owns America, even Donald Trump fears. Them power doesn't always come with a crown or a presidential title. In America, it comes with control of money, media, markets, and minds. And while politicians fight for headlines, one group of families operates in near silence, their wealth so vast and influence so deep, they shape the country from behind velvet curtains. You may never see them on ballots or news interviews, but they are there, embedded in the banks, the boardrooms, and the very laws that govern the land. This video unveils the truth behind America's most elusive and powerful families. From Wall Street to Washington, their reach is unmatched. So powerful, in fact, that even a figure as bold and unpredictable as Donald Trump knew where the boundaries lay. In Volume 1 of this series, we'll uncover who truly owns America, how they amassed this power, and why world leaders won't dare mention them out loud. From BlackRock to the Waltons, from media monopolies to corporate empires, this is a story of silent kings ruling a noisy democracy. Strap in. What you're about to see may change the way you view money, politics, and power forever. 1. The hidden powerhouse. When we think of power, we often picture the President of the United States, Congress, or the military. But true power in America doesn't sit in the Oval Office. It sits in private boardrooms, exclusive retreats, and corporate headquarters few ever see. Meet the real titans. The Walton family, heirs to the Walmart empire with a net worth exceeding $250 billion, more than the GDP of some nations. Then there's the Murdoch dynasty, shaping political landscapes through control of major news outlets. But even they are overshadowed by names like Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, a firm that manages over $10 trillion in global assets. BlackRock owns controlling shares in America's biggest corporations, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and even defense contractors. Through its power and influence, it shapes corporate policy, political strategy, and economic direction. And the best part? Most Americans don't even know it exists. These families and institutions aren't interested in fame, they're interested in influence. Their real power lies in invisibility. Trump, for all his bluster, never attacked them directly, because he knew they are the system. Cross them, and you don't just lose a campaign, you lose access to America's real levers of control. Media manipulation. Imagine controlling what millions of people think, feel, and fear, all with the stroke of a pen or the push of a publish button. That's the reality for media empires tied to America's wealthiest families. The Murdochs, for instance, command a global narrative through Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post. But it goes even deeper. You've probably never heard of BlackRock and Vanguard as media moguls, but these financial giants hold significant shares in Disney, Comcast, CNN, Time Warner, and News Corp. That means the same people managing the flow of your investments are also managing the flow of your information. When Trump battled the mainstream media, he called out journalists and anchors, but never mentioned the shareholders behind the camera. Why? Because those shareholders hold stock in his own businesses too. In this twisted cycle, billionaires own the companies, the coverage, and sometimes even the candidates. So while the public argues over political talking points, the elite quietly shape what's talked about and what's never mentioned. This isn't a conspiracy. It's corporate ownership on a scale we've never seen before. And in America, owning the media means owning the minds of millions. 3. Corporate puppeteering. Look at any major U.S. company. Apple, Google, Amazon, Tesla, and one name will appear over and over again, BlackRock. Alongside Vanguard and State Street, this quiet trio owns controlling stakes in nearly every major corporation in the U.S. economy. This means they have voting power over board decisions, CEO appointments, and even company policies that shape how Americans live and work. These entities are not just investors, they're puppeteers. And their strings reach into Washington, D.C., Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and beyond. Through what's called passive investing, BlackRock accumulates massive stakes in companies without needing to announce its presence. It doesn't need to shout. It whispers and gets what it wants. This influence has turned the free market into something of a private club, where only a few players get a say. Donald Trump may have raged against tech monopolies and financial elites, but he never dared to name BlackRock. Why? Because they're too entrenched. They're shareholders in Trump's lenders, business partners, and advertisers. In truth, many presidents, regardless of party, answer to the same masters. The billionaires behind the curtain don't need to run for office. They already run the system. 4. Banking and government ties. Did you know that many of the same people who run Wall Street also help shape U.S. policy? Former BlackRock executives have held key roles in the Treasury Department, Federal Reserve, and White House economic councils. From the Obama administration to Biden's cabinet, and yes, even during Trump's term, Wall Street's top firms have walked freely between private finance and public policy. The phrase revolving door has never been more accurate. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, BlackRock, they're more than banks. They're political pipelines. When markets crash, it's their advice the government seeks. When new tax laws are drafted, it's their lobbyists who write the fine print. Trump, who campaigned on being an outsider and draining the swamp, eventually filled his cabinet with insiders from these very firms. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. Without their blessing, Wall Street could tank the markets, freeze corporate credit, and destroy political momentum overnight. This is the real Washington power structure, not Democrats versus Republicans, but insiders versus everyone else. And the most powerful families and firms? They aren't elected. They're installed through generations of wealth and influence, untouchable, unshakable, and largely invisible. 5. Why they're feared, so why does even Donald Trump, a man known for attacking anyone and anything, avoid directly confronting these families and firms? Because they don't just possess money. They possess the levers of silence, influence, and retribution. Call out a politician and you'll trend on Twitter. Call out BlackRock or the families behind media monopolies, and you'll simply vanish from the narrative. These power brokers are feared not for what they say, but for what they can silence. Trump once hinted at the deep state and shadow figures pulling strings, but he never named names. Because naming them would mean war with the very entities that funded campaigns, backed business empires, and controlled media exposure. They're feared because they play every side of the chessboard. Republican or Democrat, president or protester, it doesn't matter. They fund it all, influence it all, and win regardless. Their wealth is generational. Their presence is global. Their reach is beyond government oversight. That's why no president, no matter how loud or rebellious, takes them on directly. Because in the power pyramid of America, they don't answer to presidents. Presidents answer to them. This family or collection of families and financial giants doesn't need to be elected. They've already won. They own America's businesses. They direct the stock market. They whisper into the ears of presidents. And while we argue over parties and policies, they quietly tighten their grip. Even Donald Trump, a man known for fearing no one, won't name them directly. Because when you own America, you don't need permission. You just need silence. If you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into power and influence, and let us know in the comments, do you think anyone can challenge these elites? Or is it already too late?